Hello, my name is Matthew, and just recently my little book channel reached 5,000 subscribers, an incredible milestone that I'm very happy about and pretty proud about too. Thank you again. And as a way of saying thank you, I thought we would do a Q&A. I made a Q&A announcement, and thankfully, I got lots of really interesting questions, and I thought we would go through them today. And we'll see how long this takes. It might be one video or two videos, about 20 minutes in length, something like that. Um, and so we'll just go through and talk about these questions. So the first question is by Danielle Franceschi, and congrats on the achievement, congrats on the achievement, Matthew. Do you often feel strong emotions when reading? Have you ever cried while reading a book, for example? If so, when was the last time this happened to you, and which book provoked it? And I'm not an emotional person. I'm certainly not an emotional reader. I can't think of an example where I was crying during a book. I would say the emotion that comes most often would be humor and amusement and laughing, which is also incredibly rare. There's only a handful of books where I would start laughing and have to like put the page down and collect myself and start reading again. And the books that do make me laugh, when I go back to them, it's like wizardry or just an enchantment, because there's just some passages or just a certain word that gets me every time, and I'll just start giggling to myself. But as far as crying, I really can't think of an example. Um, Even in watching movies or television, I might get misty eyed watching um, old Disney movies or Pixar movies, but I typically don't cry while I'm consuming entertainment. The next question by Ann P. Hi, Matthew. Congratulations. I enjoy your thoughts on books. Thank you. Here are my questions. You seem to have a taste for literature with a capital L. Do you do more light reading as well? If not, why not? If yes, what do you enjoy? Were you bookish as a child, or did it come later? And what type of environment arrangement is the tiny house parked? Are you partly off grid? Thanks, and keep up the good work. So it seems like I read. I guess I do. I read all the serious canonical works with a capital L. So Kafka and Dostoevsky and Homer and all these very serious, important novels and works of great literature, which is true. Um, I'll say when I first started reading, to go to your next question, I didn't start reading until I was maybe 18 or 19 years old, in the sense of reading for my own personal pleasure, not an assignment that was put on me in school. And it was because of my old friend Bob, an older gentleman. He was in his 60s or something when I met him as a teenager, who introduced me to the wonders of the multitudes of worlds that you can find through reading. All of these great minds that have been alive through the ages and putting their thoughts down, and you can transport into these different worlds and different viewpoints, and done in a way that's very entertaining. supposed to be entertaining. And so when I first started reading, there was this sense of wanting to get a foundational knowledge. So wanting to read critical or pivotal, influential works of literature. Things that if you opened up a newspaper, you would see passing references, because there could be this understanding that this is general knowledge that everybody at a certain education should know. So reading Shakespeare and Homer, certain poets, and it was sometimes it was difficult. It was a challenge that I put on myself. I was determined to read certain things, and my reading level, my reading comprehension, gradually improved, and at so there was some growth going on, but at some point I found that I enjoy certain authors, and I really do read for pleasure. I don't, at this point, it's been over a decade since I would think, well, I need to read this because it's important. I need to read this to impress somebody. I need to read this so I can be smart. And even things like all the French writers that I like, Victor Hugo and Flaubert and Maupassant and Haussmann and Baudelaire and on and on and on, Gautier. I just love them. And so that's why I find entertainment and instructional value as well. As far as light reading, so something like maybe a political thriller or a romance or something like that. I would say that I probably I love those genres, but I like them on the big screen or on television, watching James Bond movies or Mission Impossible movies. I just recently watched National Treasure with Nicolas Cage, where he's romping around the United States and he has to steal the Declaration of Independence, and it's extremely satisfying. It's a great movie, and the sequel's good too. Great acting by Nicolas Cage. But I like the duration of time. It takes 2 hours. It gives me everything that I want, and I can move on. It's fast paced because it's fast. I can't say because I haven't read like a political thriller, but I just don't really want to invest days in something that the itch that I might be looking for can be completely satisfied watching a great movie. I don't know if that's a good answer. So the tiny house is situated on my good friend Ben's property. There's a main residence. My house is tied to that house as far as my electric and things like that. And I wouldn't say I'm off grid. I don't really want anyone knowing where I am, but I mean, I have an electric bill, and I have a rent that it bundles all the utilities that I have that I pay. And I think that's all of the questions. Okay. The next question by Micah Cummings. Congratulations, Matthew. Thank you. What an incredible milestone. 5,000 really does seem like one of those milestone numbers. It's still arbitrary, but it's such a nice number, and it just feels like it signifies something. I'm very proud of it, um, and it's because I get to talk to all all these people. It kind of feels like I'm doing something right, I guess. Um, Very well deserved. Thank you. What book or books do you find yourself most often reminiscing about? So there are some authors that I think about daily. So it could be the trivial absurdities of the workplace that I might think of little examples that are um, in Kafka's short stories or novels, things like that. Um, as far as things that I think about, is probably either I'll say the Bible. I've been reading the Old Testament for a very long time, but daily for months, and I really spend a lot of time thinking about the stories in the Old Testament. I I often wonder. It seems to me like the morality is so elusive. Right now, I've been reading Samuel, and we get these kind of rolling stories that go along. But it's not like reading the New Testament where you have Jesus citing examples of this is good behavior, this is bad behavior. Instead, the Old Testament is these stories where you're just reading the behavior. The What I've been thinking about recently, reading these prophets. Right now, I'm reading Samuel, but throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament, we have these sections of genealogy, so just generations. With all these names, somebody, the son of somebody, the son of somebody, and I used to find those sections baffling and tedious. And now that I read about it and think about the passage of time, hundreds of years, especially some of these characters that live hundreds of years, the passage of time, all of these lives, people that have been born and worked and made families, had children, got old and died in a line, and then the next, the son of another person that was born, lived a whole life, and died. And it's like this fast forward, like fast forwarding a tape. You zip, and then we stop, and then we're into the story of Samuel. And it makes me think about my own life. So when I think about my life, or if I think about the grand scheme of things, the world, where do I fall into that? Am I a person that has a story worth reading, or am I a line of somebody that lived and died? So, some of my thoughts on Samuel. Julia E. Congratulations. Your small corner of the world has really grown. How old are Andy and Daphne? Since you live in such a small space, cats are nocturnal. Do they keep you up at night? Also, do you have a favorite book which features a cat? Congratulations again. Wonderful to see your channel grow. Thank you. So, Andy is 4 years old, and roughly, and Daphne is 3 years old. They're both. Andy is now a full-fledged adult. He's an adult cat. Daphne can sometimes have still those small, now fleeting moments of kitten behavior, but she's maybe an older adolescent. They are just my best friends. I love their company, and good housemates. I just told a story about Andy throwing books over his shoulder, but um, he was doing the right thing. Um, and since you live in such a small space, I hear that cats are nocturnal, and I suppose that it's true, but or I don't know, because these two cats, they sleep 18 hours a day. It's something like that. The majority of the day is them just completely passed out. They sleep day and night. And so they don't bother me at nighttime. I do know that there is some level of activity, so things like less food in the food bowl. Daphne will sleep with me. She'll come and rest by my side, and there's moments when I can feel her kind of curling up next to me. It's the sweetest thing. I love the idea of her just thinking, I wanna lay with that big, tall person. Andy will sleep downstairs. My morning routine is just a frenzy of activity. Right now, I wake up about 5:30 a.m. But I used to wake up early. I would wake up earlier than 5 a.m. And as soon as I was awake, the whole house would go upside down because it means that it's going to be breakfast time. And but they don't bother me. They don't keep me up at night. No. I do not have a favorite book that features a cat. I actually have a hard time thinking of. I guess those Murakami books always have cats in them, but I'm not a huge fan of Murakami. What time do we have? Let's see if we can do one more question. This is from Valerie or Valeria. Congratulations, well deserved. You're my favorite booktuber. Why, thank you. I'm curious to hear about any works of art, fiction that you consider pivotal for your development of your tastes, opinions, views, personal philosophy. Any books, of course, but also films, music, or painting. There was a painting that I found pivotal. It's by Picasso, and it's Girl with Mandolin, Fanny Teller. It's a cubist painting, and it was the first time I had seen a cubist painting. I actually got to see years later. This is when I was a young teenager, but years later I got to see it in real life in New York City, and it's a painting that's very very special to me. I like thinking about that painting. I like looking at that painting. And as far as books, I was just talking about when I first started reading, having this idea that I want to tackle these books and that it can be challenging. And there were two books, Jew the Obscure by Thomas Hardy. I remember at some point, reading this book, and it's this 19th century English novel, and it won me over. I just thought it was so terrific. Didn't feel like reading. It felt like it didn't feel like an assignment. It didn't feel like a challenge. It felt like real reading pleasure. other pivotal authors for me, a lot of the work by Oscar Wilde, because it's just so funny and witty, and Oscar Wilde has a way of making his dialogue really feel quick. One of my favorite poets that I found myself, a poet that really changed my attitude towards my approach to poetry would be Coleridge, which was because of the poetry itself, but also reading about his life. So, where are we? Okay, we'll stop here, and I'll continue on. So, thank you. I'll be right back.